welcome. We are back. I am Njideka, financial advisor and business coach, and I'm here with my, I always say my partner, my
partner,
my colleague, my guy. Who are you?
I am Kadeem Wells.
All right.
Yeah, we back. I think we ready to show them what we talked about and how we laid out some things for them, for our people. I think they're ready to see it.
Very good discussion. Definitely, I don't know if you need to get some notes, but get something. But this is a very, very good discussion we want you guys to tune into.
All right, my friend. How have you been?
I'm back in business. I've been great.
In business.
I've been great. I've been cool and great. A little bit of both.
That's good. Same here.
Yeah.
Same here.
Good. I know this is weird. This is an interesting setup we got here.
New setup.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to see how this work out. But we back for the people. It's been a little minute.
Yeah.
And now it's time for us to get back on track.
Correct.
And stick to the plan.
Okay.
So that we can serve our people and continue to grow and move forward. But over this time span that we had this little month and a half break, what's been up?
Just for me, business is always kind of moving, a lot of different moving parts, a lot of different things with clients. Right now, it's Q4 just started.
Right.
So that's, for me, business-wise and client-wise, that's an interesting season. For clients, it's an interesting season because it's tax planning season, right? So sending out those emails, sending out that correspondence, beginning to work with, people's CPAs. Usually like Q2, Q3, I kind of, I don't have to talk to CPAs as much, right? Q1, Q4, those are the heavier times, and especially Q4. So right now, and then there are a lot of deadlines coming up. So tax extension deadlines, especially when it comes to tax planning, if we, figure out that people need certain plans, certain investment plans and things like that, they have to get set up before October 31st, right? So we're not rushing to make sure that, clients can take advantage of whatever that particular benefit is. So so that stuff is going on right now. And then for me, Q4 is one of those times where it's like, all right, it's 90 days left. It's 90 days left. It is how do you want to...
people, when she's saying Q4, meaning the last 3 months of the year.
Correct.
The last quarter of 2025. This year has blown by.
Gone by, pretty quickly. So I'm just reflecting like, all right, how do I want to end this year? How do I want to end this year? And then what momentum do you want to go into 2026 with? And so that's what I'm really focused on right now. So I have been, probably in the next couple of days, there are a couple of systems that I have been needing to revamp for a couple of months. So some automations, things, some like client acquisition systems, lead generation systems, things like that. And sometimes, that's the hardest thing, right? People always talk about working on your business and then working in your business. And sometimes when you're working on your business, it doesn't always immediately produce, right, the income and the revenue, but it's something that you have to do. You have to do it.
You're exactly right about that. And in the midst of that, when you're going from working on your business to working in your business, it can get a little frustrating, trying to set these things up so that you can have it all professional and laid out. But like you said, it could take back from the income making. But at the end of the day, we're planning for the future. So I definitely feel you on that 100%.
Yeah.
Because I'm in the same boat, just trying to figure out, all right, how are we setting up clients, set up your personal life, dealing with the end of the year, then the upcoming, and how you want to take off. And that's the journey of entrepreneurship, and why it could be a joyful road, and then sometimes it could be a frustrating road. But it's part of the game, But I guess that's the luxury that we have, because we understand where we're going. We understand where our income can go. With the Elon Musk and the Jeff Bezos and all the other billionaires. Let me throw some black ones in there.
Come on, Robert Smith. Come on, David
Smith.
Stewart.
Right, David Stewart, Magic Johnson.
Aliko Dangote,
right.
You could throw the Nigerian in there.
In the world.
Absolutely.
So we got to point that out. So that's important. We understand that they went through those paths, and we thinking long term, not short term. We're not trying to be like the Instagram ballers and the scammers who get it popping for a minute, but then it goes away.
Is that the transition?
That's the transition. That's the transition. We're not trying to be like that. So I definitely understand. But how do you feel it's been going with this year? And like I said, getting those things situated, trying to end the year strong. It's holiday season. How do you feel about it?
I mean, good. A lot of times what we do, either, you look at where were you whether it was last month this time, where were you a year ago this time? So those are things that I'm also reflecting on. It's like, I'm definitely in a better place than I was even a year ago in terms of my business. You know, I've done a lot of traveling this summer.
Yeah, you've been everywhere.
A lot of travel. I've traveled probably
answer me sometime.
a good 6-7 times just since July, but a lot of it has to do with just business. It's just stuff that has come up different, whether it's opportunities or just business-wise that I've had to go. And so, thankfully, there is the flexibility to be able to go. You know, as long as I got Wi-Fi and a computer, I can do business wherever. You know. So yeah. So, but in terms of holiday time, I mean. Holiday. Well, I will say, so when I think holiday, right? So let's say the Thanksgiving, right? So for Thanksgiving, I'm not thinking obviously of Thanksgiving. I'm thinking of Black Friday. I'm thinking of Small Business Saturday. I'm thinking Cyber Monday. Okay, what do I need to make? So that's one of the reasons why. Go ahead.
For you and I, holiday season is not necessarily holiday season because we're always basically working all the time. So to us, it's just another day. But to the common person out there, it's these next 3 months because Halloween coming up, Thanksgiving, then you said Black Friday, which has turned into a holiday, and Christmas and New Year's. For the rest of the world, they're about to take a breath of, we got through the year. Let's spend some family time. Yeah. For us, we have to multitask. Yes, it's family time, but we still got to do some work. We still got to help others get their lives together. So,
and part of that, and to your now, you know, I want to give myself a little bit of grace, or like I do want to say there is I think I have gotten better. I've gotten a little bit better. At the end of the day, my mind is always going to be on work. I just can't turn that off, right? But what I have really learned to do, I think, better is to plan in advance. So yes, my mind will be on certain levels of work in ways that correct. Other people just probably won't. But that's why in, the beginning of October, I'm planning for the day after Thanksgiving, right? Because so that on the day of, so that on Black Friday and that whole weekend, or even that week of, because really stuff starts that week of, I don't have to think about it as much. It doesn't have to be on my mind as much. That's why I got to think about it so early, right? I have to think about even now, I probably will be doing some traveling internationally during the Christmas time. So yeah, I got to plan for that. I got to plan for that now so that I can take more of a mental break, once that time actually gets here.
You said something interesting as far as planning and, doing a better job of, to me, I think you're saying, yes, you're going to be in work mode, but I guess you're learning that I do got to take some time to have some family time and some me time. Is that what you're saying?
Have to.
Okay. I agree with you on that. I kind of, over the last couple of months, I'm not going to say I feel like I've been lied to as an entrepreneur, but I have noticed that, okay, every entrepreneur is not go all day, 24/7, 365. Because if it were like that, I think your lifespan will shrink. You'll be extremely tired. And what made me realize that is seeing Magic Johnson on that yacht this summer.
Okay.
Did you see that?
I didn't see that, but they always on a yacht.
You didn't see it on
him
Instagram?
And the other couples, they always on that yacht.
Right. But this time, he was on the yacht shooting hoops. On the yacht.
Oh, I saw, no, I didn't see him. I saw Ludacris doing some.
Okay, let's take Ludacris. Yeah, he was on the yacht, him and I think it was him and Kevin Hart.
Yep.
Right. But Magic Johnson was on the yacht too, and he literally had the basketball court out there shooting jumpers in the middle of the ocean. I think he was in Italy somewhere.
It's another life out there. It's very interesting.
Right. So that's what made me realize I need to get better at that too, and having that downtime. Yeah. Yes, we still work on the weekend, but taking some hours, like, all right, let's relax, let's recoup, rejuvenate the body, rejuvenate the mind. So that is a great point that you made.
Yeah, you have
when
to.
It comes to that.
And I think with both of us, like, whether it's, seeing people come and go, losing people, and then also as you get older, because, I'm older than you, different things, they don't work the same. You know what I'm saying? They work a little different. Or you just get tired, like you just begin to change. And so you have to start to adjust.
Have you?
What?
Do you have a workout regimen?
If you don't get the heck away from me. Okay, so.
I'm just saying, because if we working, you said things don't work the same. So are you taking care of your body? Are we
Okay.
drinking water? Are we working
Yes.
out a couple days a week?
Okay, so I will say this. I will say this.
That's a serious question.
No. It's a very good question. It's a very good question. I'm going to answer it. So, two things. One is, so that's actually one of the reasons why I have a raising desk and I have a walk pad. So, because I'll do 2 miles. I do 3 times a week, I'll do 2 miles.
Okay.
Now, what I will say is that why I'm laughing is because I went to Atlanta. I just came back from Georgia because I was in a couple of different parts of Georgia. But I went there, and so probably it's been 2 weeks since I've gotten back into my regimen, right? But it's about
So
3
you're saying the last 2 weeks you haven't exercised?
I've not exercised.
It's okay. We're in the same boat. I didn't exercise all last week, so you're not by yourself.
But that's one of the reasons why. So I had to adjust, right, that to my life because, kind of to your point, like I knew that I wasn't necessarily going to be going to the gym, at least at that point. And I was like, okay, I know I have to get it done. So I was like, let me just buy this walk pad. And so that makes it real easy because I can still be doing work. You know what I'm saying?
Still be doing work.
While I'm exercising. And then the other thing that I have started to do, probably for the last month, 2 months, maybe 2 months. So I have one of my cousins is a physical trainer. Another one of my cousins, she is very, very fit, but I've been really intentional about them telling me, okay, what do I need to eat and what do I need to stop eating? And so I've been,
What did they say?
So
'Cause I need the info too.
basically, shoot, I damn near sometimes feel like I'm eating, I told her, I was like, dog food. So when I say that, like really expensive dog food, like when they put spinach, when they put spinach, chicken, sweet potato, right?
You calling that dog food?
When I put that thing together one day, I said, now listen, it tastes good. Or ground turkey, that's something you put in a bowl and you give to a dog and you're like, damn, that dog is eating pretty good.
It wasn't decorated on the plate, you know?
No, all I did was is it yams or sweet potato?
I don't know.
What's the yellow one? What's the orange one, I mean? The orange was sweet potato, right?
Yeah, either sweet potato. Yeah, that's what you make candy yams out of, I think. I don't cook,
this
I don't
is
know.
really sad. This conversation is sad. But so
Hey, that's why you talk to your cousin for him to give you the ingredients.
So sweet potatoes, spinach, ground turkey, big old things of ground turkey, so that I don't eat a lot of carbs anymore. Just having to be mindful of that. So I have been adjusting that a lot. Water primarily is all I drink. So
I'm working on that too.
So yeah, even though the reality is I'm not going as intense as I should, definitely not going as intense as I should, but I am doing I'm doing something, I'm getting
doing more than the average person.
For sure.
So that's the name of the game. But like I said, I'm with you this week. I didn't do any workouts, but I will get back to it this weekend for sure. So speaking of that, as we're talking about working and winding down the year, first thing we want to look at, I got a post for you. Okay? It says the income a family needs to live comfortably in the U.S. So we're working so that we can provide for ourselves and our family. So I got some numbers for you. It says a single adult earning less than $80,000 per year cannot afford to live comfortably in a single U.S. state. And the source is Smart Assets 2024. Cost of Living Report. So this is from June of 2024. Let's look at some numbers. California, I guess it's saying this can't be the median income. Based on 1 or 2 working adults. This say you'll need $277,000. Let's say it's a two household to live comfortably in California. $277,000 a year.
Okay.
If you are in Nevada, combined $237,000. Arizona, $231,000. Utah, $218,000. Idaho, $211,000. Oregon,
Idaho.
Yeah, ID. That's on top of Nevada, right? They say ID.
Wow.
And then Oregon, $257,000. Washington, $257,000. So I'm sticking to the left coast because we live on the West Coast. If we were living in Atlanta and let's say Michigan, of course it'll be a little less. But we're gonna stick with the West Coast for now. So thinking about those numbers. Talk to me, I talk back. Can we make it?
Can you make and those second ones were just 2 people? Does that include kids too?
Yes, 2 based on 2 working adults with 2 children.
Okay. I mean, I've talked about this quite a bit. Honestly, I've had I've done episodes on this, YouTube episodes on this, about why six figures, like why you could be making six figures and still feel broke. That is not a hard thing right now. I don't understand how people are doing, how
they're surviving,
how people are surviving on less than 80, on less than 6. You know, like I mean that respectfully, right?
I get what you're saying.
When I was at when I spoke at NSBE a couple weeks ago, that was one of the questions that I posed. I said to the room, I said, I prefaced it to them by saying, you know, sometimes me and my colleagues will say, if you only want to make 100 grand, you're selfish, right? And I told them, I said, now that might be off-putting when I initially say it, but I posed it to them. I was like, do you guys know what I mean when I say that? I said, let me give you a hint. I live in California, right? So what do you think I mean by that, right? And they eventually got it, but it's that ultimately, many people cannot fit in, especially even in California, right? We both are in California.
Right.
Many people cannot fit into, quote unquote, fit into a person making 100,000. And all I mean by that is that if you want to help people, right, besides taking care of yourself, right, it's hard to fit other people. If part of what you believe your purpose is impacting others, it's hard to fit other people in 100. It's not about not being grateful about making 100. Right. It's just understanding about where we are now, economy-wise, how far that gets you.
When you say that, we definitely understand because we're always looking at numbers because the 100,000 is not really 100,000. Not only do we got the federal tax rate, but then we got the state income tax, right, and a local tax. So after that 100, you're probably walking away with 70. Yeah. You know, if your taxes, your CPA is handling things right, if you have a CPA or a good tax person. So that is something that we tend to explain to people on a daily basis, that it's not a real 100. Right. You know, a lot of that is going to be gone. Yeah. So let's just take the number 70. So I understand what you're saying when you tell someone if that's all you want to make, then it's kind of selfish because you cannot help others based on that income. Because it's really a $70,000 salary. Let's not even look at the other 30. Yeah.
If you say that you want to help other people, then it's selfish. If you don't really care, then you know what, you're doing exactly what you want to do. During my boot camp, I always give the 6,000 number. So 6,000 times 12 is 72,000, right? So let's say you bring home a net 72,000. 6,000 easily. When I look, sometimes it'll come down my feed on TikTok. Apartment for rent in North Hollywood, $3,100. Apartment for rent in North Hollywood, $4,100. Like, so if you bring home $6,000 a month, your rent is $3,000 a month, or your rent is $4,000 a month. One, yes, you are living beyond your means. That is one thing, right? But the other thing, okay, we're talking about rent. What if you have a car note? You have cell phone, you have some other bills, you have health insurance, you have to buy food, car insurance, right? Don't have a child, right? Don't have a child making $6,000 a month. Daycare, that's more rent, right? That's rent size payments. Right. So, yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult for you to do it.
Let's just take, a single parent making that type of money. In that scenario, how do you think they should process their lifestyle? And let's just speak about our city. We in LA. We got Hollywood, we got Beverly Hills, we got downtown LA. So much to do here in our city. Then you got the social media aspect of trying to compare what you have going on. What do you think should be the mental state of someone bringing in that type of income if they're trying to get to a destination in retirement, live a good life still? How do you feel they should handle that?
Well, there are things that you just probably you cannot do. And I'm not, because you really do have to be mindful with this. So I do understand that people need small wins along the way, right? They need to have some type of quote unquote enjoyment, as Nigerians like to say, along the way. You just have to be mindful about what that is for you. You can't it's blinder city. Like, don't look at what everybody is doing, because if you financially are not in that particular position, then just don't do it. You know, I was just having this conversation last night, but you got to go back, just go to the basics. Like, have an honest conversation with yourself. Otherwise, you are going to be just living above your means. How much are you bringing in? How much goes out every month, right? Yeah. Do an audit. How much goes out every month? I say the same thing over and over again. How much goes out every single month? Track it. Like, what are your due dates, right? That's a spending audit, right? So do a spending audit. And this is just so that you know what your baseline is, right? So beyond kind of what you said, to find your baseline, do a spending audit. Again, piece of paper, 4 columns, right? Needs, wants, debts, savings, and investments.
Right.
Go to your bank statement. I know you don't, or online bank portal. I know you don't want to go. You may have anxiety.
About hard copy, pull it out, get a highlighter.
Or you could be online, okay? Download the PDF, it's fine, okay? Right. Whichever one you want to do. But go through it and categorize, okay, what was Chick-fil-A? Chick-fil-A was a want. Yes, it was a want, right? Rent payment that came out on the 10th of the month, oh, that was a need, right?
You gotta pay
categorizing. See, just be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. And so if you are bringing in $6,000, but your expenses, when you literally put everything out there, if your expenses technically came out to $6,400, you have a problem. Like,
we are dealing with emotions.
Yeah.
That can weigh on the mental part. In our field, we're trying to walk people down this line in a direction so that they can save their money now so it'll save them later. But like you said, it doesn't mean you can't have fun, but how should we as humans cope with the mental part of that? Of living day to day, but I still want to have some fun. You know, just had the Breezy Bowl and everybody named Mama was there between LA and Vegas.
I said I will not. I said I don't need to go. I have gone many places already and I'm going somewhere else. I felt what the exact thing that you are describing. So FOMO, for example, I was like, but everybody's gonna be there, which I heard everybody was. Both my siblings were there and I didn't go. But I intentionally said, I'm gonna, and I was shaking. Like, I am not gonna pay for a ticket. I'm not gonna do it because yeah. So I get it. You have to have, there are certain conversations that you have to have with yourself.
Right.
There's certain levels of discipline that you have to have. You have to buy in yourself. At the end of the day, I can only tell you so much. You can only tell people so much. Some of this stuff, it has to be important enough to you. If you're like, listen, my realistic is I gotta be able to do something. Okay, I need you to find a low cost something or free something or other. What are you gonna say?
So when you say low cost, you know, now in this age they have new companies like Affirm that would allow for you to do a small down payment and make payments on that concert ticket. What do you think about that? Like if they budget it out and say I'm gonna come and make these monthly payments so I can have these 1 or 2 good times throughout the year, what you think about that?
Listen, no.
So you against that? Or do it depend on how much, like what the budget is?
No. When it comes to things like that, I want to be very clear. Like, I'm not anti-credit, right? Or I'm not debt credit. I don't know how I would say it, right? I'm not anti-leveraging credit.
Right.
The problem is that we leverage it for the wrong things.
True.
Is it income generating? A Breezy, is not income generating, right? I recently read an article about, and it's actually,
it's not income generating, but it's fun.
Okay, well, where are your priorities? I can't.
Not as real.
Yeah, I can't.
Where are your priorities?
I can't do. I mean, at the end of the day, you're gonna pull the trigger on what you want to pull the trigger on. But if it's not a part of your priority, if it's not moving you ahead, let me be very clear so that nobody is like, oh, you know, she's so anti. Listen. There have been coaching programs, for example. There have been coaching programs where I was like, ooh, that much, huh?
It's a little steep.
But I know, but I know what I'm going to get. It is an investment.
I was just about to say that's different.
That is different.
That's like somebody going to college. You're paying $50,000 to $100,000 to go to college because you're making an investment into yourself for your future. If you're paying for a mentorship program to help you build your business or to become a better person, that's investing into yourself versus the Breezy Bowl.
Correct.
Those 2 different things of leverage of credit.
I can tell you, I'll be very honest with you right now. So earlier this year, a couple months ago, it was maybe March or February, there was something else that I had invested in cash-wise, and I came up on another, I would say opportunity, but just somebody who I really wanted to, when I was really trying to get better and hone in my skills around YouTube, right? My channel and all that stuff, right? And so I was like, I just made an investment in some other place, right? In some other skill set stuff. and something else, I'll say opportunity, but another coaching program came up, and I was like, but I really want to do this. Now, so for me, what I did see, this is how I calculate it though. What I said to myself is, all right, let me take a step back. One, if it's worth it enough, I do ask, is there an interest-free option, right?
Right.
Two, and thankfully there was. Two, what I said to myself was, all right, let me calculate my revenue, okay. I know what's coming in. Okay, for me, I'm like, okay, I gotta create income streams. I just think about it different as well because I need to accelerate, exactly, because I need to accelerate that debt being out of here. So that thing was gone 4 months later. Right. But it's because I thought that out. I wasn't just gonna allow that to linger forever, for 24 months, 12 months, 36 months. But I knew that I would see a return on it, and so those things, in my opinion, those things are a little different,
Well, you planning it out on how to leverage credits and payments, and if it's an investment into yourself, and they're going to help you because, like you said, I want to do this, but I got to make sure I got another income stream that's going to knock this out in 2 to 3 months versus 24 months.
Correct.
So, I mean, that makes sense. Correct. We, even with making an investment into ourselves, sometimes we probably could stretch our budget as well because we practice what we preach and having a budget and making sure we putting some money up and making sure that we on point with our day-to-day. We just have those vices for self-improvement versus having fun. Yeah, you have to have, like, in addition to, like we said, the priorities, like healthy habits. That's the biggest thing is, do you have healthy habits? Right. Especially when it comes to debt and credit and things like, do you have healthy habits? And no, buy now, pay later is not helping. It's not helping consumer heavy, community, right? Our families and communities that are so consumer heavy because they are not also, at the end of the day, they're a business, right? And so they are not also teaching credit, right? Absolutely
101.
Not.
They're not also teaching credit education. You literally are capitalizing on the lack of habit, right, that people have. And so it's in those ways where they could be predatory. And so, you just have to, as a business owner, like you said, like this is just business owner conversation, like that. Sometimes you have to assess cash flow. Like there's so many different variables that might be happening. So yes, you might have the capital. Sometimes it makes sense to maybe like I said, leverage stuff, but then you have certain time frames. But if you're not thinking stuff out like that, don't do it. The challenge is that, you do it once, you'll do it multiple times. Do it multiple times.
You gotta be smart about it.
You gotta be smart about it. But then the other thing is, as I've heard enough times, and I absolutely agree with people say, you have to think, if you have to pay for it over time, then that means that you cannot afford it. Like, that's ultimately what that means. And in the example that I gave, I was honest about, I was like, ooh, cash flow. But for me, it was one, it was an investment, and two, I was like, okay. It was almost like, it's like, I know what my different offers are. Right. I know the different services that I offer. And so for me, I'm like, oop, okay, I gotta go ahead and I gotta secure that contract. It's so that again, it's just a matter of, it's just for me, but if you cannot, you have to be honest with yourself. Like if you don't have healthiest of habits, then just don't do it because they are coming from you on purpose.
That's a good statement right there. Now, that's the difference between us knowing how this game works versus, like you saying, most people who have this I'm gonna say a bad habit of over leveraging to do certain things. So it's very important that we keep our emotions intact when it comes to spending, when it comes to having fun and getting our priorities straight, because life is changing over time, man, with how the world is changing. So with that being said, as we talk about the money and where we live in LA, Atlanta rapper, which is actually my favorite rapper of all time, just so everybody know, T.I. is my favorite rapper of all time.
Is he?
Okay, yeah, Lil Man Syndrome.
Wow, you said it yourself. Okay.
Lil Man Syndrome.
Interesting.
We got the attitude. But look, he did something really, really dope. This week, they just celebrated opening his first affordable housing development in the ATL with 143 units. Now, let's be clear. Affordable housing is different from low-income housing. Okay, there's a difference. This is to make it affordable for people to live, because as we talk about, if somebody says they're making $100,000 here in LA or California, that's not a real 100,000 if you work in a corporate job, because you got the state tax, local tax, and the federal tax. So we're talking about making rent affordable. What you think about this? With this move, this real estate move T.I. made?
Well, I'm guessing affordable, because affordable is relative.
Right.
It's relative to what like you said, it's relative to what the levels are, some of the averages are, the market, what the market is. I mean, housing is for the most part, housing is a great property in and of itself, right? A great investment. Having the intentionality, right? Understanding that there is a lot of housing that is not affordable, you know? I think that's really honorable for him to at least think of and be intentional about. It's not like, I'm building apartments and they, $6,000 a month or, $7,000 a month or they, boutique apartments or whatever. So I think that's great. Again, it's just relative. But in and of itself, it's great. It's a great intentional investment move.
Definitely. He's really, really heavy in the real estate, which is, I think we all should have a eye for real estate. We all need to own something.
Yeah.
Whether you're living in it, renting it out. Let's look at it from two perspectives. Let's look at it from I would call it a tenant perspective. If you see this move made and then you're trying to get something affordable. And then let's talk about the business side of him making this deal. So let's go with the tenants first. Mm-hmm. So if you are someone out there, you see the development come in, what do you think somebody's mindset should be when they see this put together?
As a tenant, as a potential tenant?
Yeah. If we're talking about the rents are high everywhere, across the U.S., but of course in different states it's different levels. Mm-hmm. But if it's a person out there in that scenario that we just described about, they take home pay, how do you think they should look at this scenario of what he's done, and how you think it affect the economy in Atlanta? Based on this move, you think other celebrities or other business people will do something like that? I
do feel like there is a strong enough, not just entrepreneurial, but like business community out there. A lot of celebrities that are, kind of, I don't know if movers and shakers is a good reference to it, but like, they do a lot of investment, right? Community investment, things that are beneficial, ideally, to the Black community or communities of color. So I could see other people, following suit. For the tenant side, I mean, it's just a matter of like, okay, so what is affordable housing? Looking at what are the parameters? Do I fall within that? What neighborhood is this in?
Right.
Is a neighborhood that's already developed? Is the development coming?
Right.
I mean, it's just relative to that particular person, I guess. I guess more so on the potential buyer end, I would say like if I was a potential investor in Atlanta, right? Mm-hmm. I am, and he made that decision. I'm a fan of, when it makes sense, piggybacking, if you will, on certain, I don't want to say certain decisions, but if somebody has made a decision to make a certain move, an investment move, for me, I'm like, all right, well, let me look at those numbers then, because maybe you saw something. And so I don't have to go around searching. Let me just look at the numbers that you ran and let me see, does it make sense for me as well? And do the numbers make sense to where that may be a move that I want to make as well? So that's something that I think about as you're saying this. But I mean, in terms of the tenant, one is that people need to understand, is the whole building affordable housing? Or is, sometimes stuff is at market, sometimes stuff is low, sometimes stuff is affordable, or,
Well, they should look into it, though. I think anyone in that area where this complex is built, I think they should look into it, especially when we think about that as far as being affordable, or just anyone trying to figure out, all right, I'm trying to get my life together. This is how much I'm paying for rent. This is my car note. What move can I make to try and lower my expenses? Let me see if I qualify for this residence, to see what are some changes I can make, because it's important, man. As you talked about earlier, it's important to pull that bank statement out, write out that budget, and let's see what are some changes we can make to our daily habits. Mm-hmm. I think trying to get something affordable is number one. Trying not to live beyond your means. Hell, even if you can see if you can get your car note. I mean, not car note, but you can get your car note to go down if you refinance, but the car insurance and things of that nature, your cell phone bill. I think at this time, the way the America is at this moment, every person, especially from our community, needs to sit down, I think, for a good month. If you're single, do it by yourself. Talk to your parents. If you got teenage children, sit down and talk to them. If you have a spouse, talk to your spouse. We really got to get focused on planning our future ahead and seeing what can we do to put ourselves in the best position possible. So I think that could be something that can be part of it for people that live in that community. Let's check this out. Let's see what we paying now for rent, and if we can get in here, drop the rent by a couple dollars, we can move that money around to be able to save and really get in that direction.
Yeah. I think cooperation is something that I'm not going to say people of color. Black people have
I never say people of color. I say black people.
Black people, yeah.
We got to help our people.
Respect,
I'm being honest. Like, I love everybody, but we got to help our people to get them to understand. Y'all got to cooperate and listen and let people like us guide you.
Yeah. And when I understand, when I say cooperate, and so just kind of in line with what you're saying, when you do that budget, like we have to stop being so prideful that we are not, if people need to get roommates, then I need you to get a roommate.
Right.
If you need to move in somewhere, I need you to move in. Like, you cannot be.
This ain't 1990 no more.
You cannot be so prideful that you are stretching yourself beyond limit. You can literally, whatever that arrangement needs to be, right? In order for you to adjust your arrangement, whether it's roommate, whether it's living with family, whatever, you got to pay down debt. You got to save, all of that stuff. Do it. Do it. Honestly, it's a blessing if you can do that.
Speaking of that, what do you think, because like you said, you are a little older than me, but I think I can pinpoint in time. I give my opinion, you give yours. This separation came into play where I got to be on my own, got to have my own apartment, my own car. Well, you definitely should have your own car, but your own space, doing your own thing by yourself versus looking at it from that standpoint of a group economics point of view of, okay, if you are 25, in the 90s, yes, you need to live on your own. 2025, why would it be a negative connotation to say, yeah, I'm 25, I still live with my parents. We have a game plan. How can we get back to that aspect of together, whether, like I said, it's a roommate, you and your best friend.
Yeah.
Look, we're going to plan this out together. We both got student loan debt. We got to pay down, let's say, our car loans and things of that nature. Yeah. Let's piece up on an apartment. That's going to be cheaper than us paying separately. We're going to do this together. We're going to pay down our student. We're going to work this plan. Or you and your spouse. When do you think this separation came into play of not working together in that aspect?
I mean, I don't know if it's a particular time, but one, I think there's ego that's at play. I think there's ego that's at play. I think that I don't know if it's millennials, if you want to say millennial generation, but I also think there's culture. So what we're taking off the table, what we're not including is if you have like a tumultuous family life. You know what I'm saying?
We're not talking about that.
That's different, right? Then different. I understand why you wouldn't do it, right? But if that was not at play, I think that there's cultural aspects of that, because I think amongst certain cultures, we don't care. they don't care. They're like, stay as long as you need to, right? Come back if you got to. And then I think that there is ego and pride in some places where it's just like, I can't, or what's that gonna look like?
Right. So
you would rather, kind of struggle where you are. Time period wise, I don't know. Like I said, maybe, I don't know if you want to say like the 2000s, 2010s or whatever.
Oh, that's where I was going. That late 07, 08 till now, I think is when when it became very, very prevalent of doing your own thing versus looking at a collective unit of us working together. If
you have a plan, if you do it with intention, like you can.
That's the smart way.
That's the smart way. A lot of wealthy people will tell you that. That is, people go back to the house. Now, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, I think there's ego to it.
Definitely
I think there
ego.
is, or pride, I think it's a matter of social status and, what does it mean if that happens, But you have to, one, obviously know who you are. Right. And then you have to have parents that also buy into that, because some parents, are like, no.
But that's what I'm saying. This dynamic of, if you don't go to college and you 18, 19, you got to go get your own spot.
Yeah.
To me, with what I've learned since I've been out of college and being in the business world is there's strength in numbers. When we went to college, like you went to school, didn't you go to school in Pennsylvania, right? Went to college?
Grad school.
Okay. So where do you go for undergrad?
UC Davis.
All right. You still left the house. So you and I had an experience of leaving the house but going to college. Your first 2 years, did you stay in the dorm? Or did you have an apartment?
Yeah, first year
UC
each.
Davis.
Correct.
UC Davis. Okay. Yeah. So we got the experience of living on our own, having a roommate and developing that. So that's one perspective. We learn how to live on our own. If you don't go to college, but let me go back to that. We didn't have to pay rent. Like, well, we paid to stay in the dorm, but it wasn't a monthly thing, you know. Then you have some who say, okay, if you don't go to college, you got to get out and go live on your own and gain some real world experience, which I understand to a certain extent, but you got to prepare your child for that. You got to prepare. And I think what has happened is there's a drop off, in my opinion, on parenting, because it's too much of, I need to be at the Breezy Bowl, the Beyonce, all these events, and we're not raising our children. And I know some people say, well, how are you going to talk about raising children? You don't have kids. I got a whole basketball team of nieces and nephews. My mother had a daycare for 10 years. I worked in the elementary school. I worked at a preschool in Atlanta. I've been working with kids since I was a kid. So I've seen parents who are good parents, excellent parents, and I've seen some bad ones. Okay, and I know some bad ones on a personal level. So there's a major drop-off of the family structure, working with each other, and taking time in to help us develop as from children to teenagers to young adults to full adults. Finances play a major role in that. Something has to happen where we can transform and not have that ego to where it's like, all right, if we sit down with a financial advisor and that financial advisor gives us a game plan, look, we're gonna practice group economics. Y'all 18, 19, if y'all not going to college, y'all want to go into the workforce or you're trying to start a business, okay, that's cool. This is what we're going to do. We're going to come together. We all going to put in $200 a month. It's four is in this house. 4 people, so 2, 4, 6, that's $800 a month. If we're saving $800 a month, what's that? 800 times 12, that's $9,600 a year. Let's say we do that for 4 years, from age 18 to 22, because let's say how those all your children are. So for 4 years, saving $9,600 in 4 years, the family has a total of $38,000 saved up. That could be a down payment on a property, on a multi-unit, to get on track to doing what T.I. did. What do you think can be the pinnacle to get that started where we can create that culture in our community? And when I say the Black community, I'm talking about those of us that come from the inner city.
It's a financial literacy thing. It's financial literacy, financial empowerment. Because if you don't understand, if you've never seen that, or if nobody's really talking to that, there are no examples of that, it's hard for you to come up with that on your own.
True.
You have to be able to see that. When I was speaking at NSBE is National Society of Black Engineers.
Okay.
And so, you know, engineers, I think Dave Ramsey was talking about it, some of the top millionaires in the world are engineers, you know, and so that actually was a part of my talk. My talk was about how engineers and Blacks in tech are programmed. You are literally wired, and just in the way that you're trained in terms of your studies and all of that stuff, you're wired to build wealth, right? But particularly through entrepreneurship. So I highlighted a couple of people, whether it's Bill Gates and Paul Allen, whether it was Reed Hastings, who's the founder of Netflix, Jeff Bezos, the founders of Google, both of them. I highlighted how all of them have computer science degrees, like all of some type of engineering degree, because they solved a problem, right? They understood it's part of the wiring, right? Whether it's solving problems, whether it's understanding systems, all that stuff connects to entrepreneurship, or translates well when it comes to entrepreneurship, building a business, and thus building wealth, right? Or creating wealth and then, you know, doing what you want with it. But one of the ways that I kind of set the tone for that talk was about algorithm. And I said, if you think about the Instagram algorithm, Netflix algorithm, what it does is that it learns you, right? And whatever you put into it is what comes out of it, right? So if I'm liking a bunch of things on Instagram, right? If I'm commenting on certain things, when I'm scrolling down my feed, it's gonna produce, right, what I'm putting into it. Same thing with Netflix. That's the beauty of it, right? Is that it knows what to recommend to me. It knows what I scroll past. It knows what movies I watch the entire week. So it knows it learns you. So in the same way, you know, I made that connection between with engineers, and I said, because of the way you're wired, and so I highlighted like 4 different ways that they're wired, why it connects to, you know, them being primed to build wealth. But one of the things I said was, again, inputs and outputs, right? It's just like ChatGPT. The quality of what the output is all dependent on what your prompt, right? The input. Right. So if communities of color, if Black communities, if what is getting put into us is not financial education, is not financial literacy, is not necessarily empowerment, right, to a certain degree.
Teamwork.
If it's not any of that stuff, it's not cooperation, if it's not any of that stuff, it won't come out. It won't magically come out. At some point, you have to get fed with mentorship, coaching, guidance, where that is getting poured into you, right? And so it doesn't just come from nowhere. Even if it's not in your family, the majority of people, even for you, right? If there were certain aspects of whether it's entrepreneurship, go-getter, work ethic, that is a part of you, and maybe in your immediate family, you don't see it in your quote-unquote immediate family, somebody along your line in your journey of life, you got that, and
you got it from somewhere.
You got it from somewhere, and so that was a part of your input. And so if enough of those, that's why what we do and whether it's in entrepreneurship or whatever, it could be setting examples in careers.
Right.
Why those things are so important is because when you set an example, you are becoming an input for the next generation, because you are allowing them to see, the possibility, and so their outcomes can be different. And so if, again, going back to your question, is like, if we talked about cooperation more, again, we talked about if financial education, financial literacy, all that stuff was in schools, then you would see that more, then we would be programmed like that more. And so that's why, again, what we do becomes so important, and what other people, other different influencers that you see, why people who are pushing the message around literacy and just helping people learn investing, all that stuff is so important, is because that's a part of what we have to do now, right? It's like, damn, we didn't do it when there were, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like the Jewish folks do. We got to do it when we can, and so that we can produce more cooperatives, and more people like that.
So you mentioned a key word, and I never heard of this word really until the last 5 years, algorithm. I remember during the pandemic, I started learning what that word was about algorithm. I went back and watched the movie Social Network, when Zuckerberg,
founding,
stole Facebook, you know what I'm saying? Allegedly.
Right.
Allegedly. And now I've noticed, like, hold on, this word been used, because that movie came out, I think like 2010, because Facebook didn't come out till like 07 or something. Well, I discovered it in college in 07. I think it came out in 05. But I'm like, wait, hold on. This word was new to our community when the pandemic about algorithm. But these individuals been knew what an algorithm
individuals,
was.
Yes.
And now you got our kids know what an algorithm is. But it is the right algorithm, though.
Right.
What are they, you mentioned, what are they being fed? What are they being taught? On their algorithm, is it this stupid beef between Nicki Minaj and Cardi B going back and forth all on your feed versus the positive things that we talk about empowerment? Them seeing stuff like this as far as, what T.I. did. Is that floating through the algorithm? I think we got to understand, as you talked about talking to those black engineers and getting into STEM and all of that, these major companies are making moves. Like, I think it was about a month ago, Zuckerberg was paying like $100 million to, or something, allegedly, that's what I saw. Paying for engineers to come over to work with Meta. Did you hear about that?
They all do. That's
about
why
them poaching and all that good stuff.
That's why Trump made the H-1 visa, I think it is. Then he made it 100,000.
Yeah, just raised it to 100,000.
Because Google, all those tech companies, that's the major. They are paying for visas for tech for people with
But think about that. These moves are being made.
Yeah.
There's nobody on Crenshaw and Vernon thinking about what's going on and how the world is changing, because our people are so far removed from what's taking place in this world. Because speaking of these H-1 visas, for those who don't know, when we talk about the it's called H-1 visa or H-1 back visa, whatever it is, where they bringing these intelligent people over from different countries as immigrants, but at the same time, y'all saying we need to get rid of immigrants, whether illegal immigrants, people who've been here. It's been all summer here in LA. You said what?
Undocumented.
Undocumented individuals, I would say. To me, that is strange to me, okay? Because, so y'all bringing in, saying the brightest from other countries, but why we not training our people here to be on that level? But then you said we want to get rid of the undocumented individuals. To me, it's like, well, we just swapping them out?
They want to get rid of Mexicans. So let's be very clear, right?
Okay.
That's what they want to do. They want to get rid of Mexicans, okay? Now, LA, we different. We love everybody. We don't understand none of that.
Growing up in LA, let me be clear. I'm trying to figure out when this whole fight in Mexicans or Hispanics, whatever you want to call them, when I was in elementary, middle school, and high school, we all got along.
Yeah.
Now, of course, as you got older, like the gang stuff come into play, but as far as all my Hispanic homies and the male and female, we all got along. We talk on Instagram and stuff today. Like, hate is taught to have this fever, because we all got along. And let's keep it a buck. All the Hispanic, Tupac had a lot of Hispanics who loved him.
LA is different. LA is different. I mean, there are other cities similar.
But here in LA,
it's very different, because Mexicans, Salvadorians, like it's very different. We don't all of the foolishness that other communities and how polarizing other communities may be with their Latino communities. Now Florida's a different beast because Florida got Cubans, and sometimes Cubans can be interesting to their own people, right? Light Cubans versus darker Cubans, but that's some different stuff. See, the different topics and this, moving into politics, everything's code. Right? So DEI is code for black folks.
Exactly.
Immigration is code for Mexicans,
when
Latinos.
DEI benefited white women more than anybody else.
Exactly. Everything's just code, right? Coded. And so they're trying to, they want particular immigrants to come in. But then that kind of connects to goes back to what I was speaking to the folks at the conference about, is that people are building wealth on your backs. Right? They're building wealth on your intellect, on your algorithm. They're building wealth on that. And that's essentially what the H-1 visas, that's all. And it's fine. Like there's a part of it where it's fine. I mean, if whether you are getting paid very well, right? If you're getting something out of it too, right? You're learning systems and all that stuff.
For those
immigrants that come over, yeah. If we're working for these companies, there are things,
it's cool. But we're talking about if it's supposed to be America first, why aren't we taking our best of the brightest to put them in this position? Because when you talk about DEI, it's really getting me worked up when it comes to DEI.
They don't see you. They're not talking about you. I mean, when you say America first, who you're talking about and who they're talking about are two totally different groups. It shouldn't make sense to you. Don't even, I mean, you know this, right? This is like, it's not gonna make sense to you. There are somebody, I think it was a black girl. I saw something, it really helped. Because she was like, this was right after the shooting, the Charlie Kirk shooting.
Yeah, well, I was just about to roll
and because whether it's after all that, even before that, and you're like, how do you guys think? I don't understand how you're even thinking. And the girl,
understand who thinking? The ones that say America first?
Yeah, or white supremacists, like people, Christian nationalists, all that, Charlie Kirk types, all of that, right? Even when everything happened with him, and for people that were, putting up everybody. Let me say this one thing before I get back to it.
The whole my good and faithful servant stuff. I saw it.
So
let's talk about it.
Just because people did not because people were trying to celebrate, again, it was celebrating the way that he lived part. No one was celebrating his death. Or let me not say that, no one, but maybe that was there. However, that was not the majority of it. I think that people kept over emphasizing and saying people are celebrating his death. No,
they took the minority of people who were being foolish. Because let's be real, we don't think he should have. You don't think so,
right?
Anybody with common sense can understand. Yes, you're entitled to your opinion,
of course,
to say what you want to say, but yes, you should not have your life taken away for that.
No.
So they took the minority of the people, the foolish people on TikTok making dumb videos saying, they got him and all that, and made it the majority.
Right. But what was actually happening is that you're trying to force people to mourn. And people are like, I'm not mourning.
I'm not mourning over that.
But am I mourning? Because the reality is, right, he died literally by what he spoke about, And so, removing emotion from it. But going back to the woman I saw on there, she was from, where did he get? In Utah, right?
He was in Utah.
So she was like, and I'd grown up in Utah, I was raised in Utah, and you guys have to understand the way that people see the world. You're not gonna understand it, but she was like, one, there are things that are black and white to people. They don't believe in nuance. They don't believe in nuance. They don't believe in, you have a particular experience. So that's one thing that you have to stop trying to get people to understand. They don't believe in nuance, even though it exists, right? In our reality, it exists. Right. They don't believe in that. They believe that there is hierarchy in terms of race, in terms of intelligence. They believe in that, right? And she went through like this, maybe like 4 or 5 things, and it made me just say, one, it made me say, wow, right? But it also was just like, we're living in different worlds. This is the last thing I'll say. And it just, again, connects to wrap that point up, but then get back to what you were talking about. We live in different worlds. I was talking to somebody, I was talking to a client, and this was immediately after it had happened. I think this was 2 days after the shooting had happened. And, it was a very angry, you could try to ignore the world and politics and be tunnel visioned all you want, but it was very angry days after, the shooting had happened. And I remember I had a client call and I was like, how y'all doing? Because they don't live in California, live on the East Coast. How you guys doing? And and they made a certain reference to people going crazy, people being going crazy or whatever. And one of the things that they said, and I was like, this is absolutely true. They were like, I knew that we lived in two different Americas, but I'm now also realizing that we believe in two different Christianities.
Well, the person you were talking about,
yes,
black?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I said, you're absolutely correct.
I don't understand this part. First of all, every time there's a mass shooting and it's a white person, it goes to, it's political violence. This person is from the left. They have mental health issues. But every time they want to bring up Chicago, it becomes a community thing. Well, you don't think that kids that grow up in a poverty environment, gang-infested neighborhood, you don't think they got mental health issues? I'm trying to figure out why is there always as I'm gonna call it not even a distinction, a distortion of thinking that way. If you're quote unquote living in a war zone, you got some PTSD. You have some things that you're dealing with mentally and emotionally, okay? No, I didn't grow up in the streets, but I did grow up in the hood who got family members who were in the streets and still in the streets to this day. They got some mental issues. I don't understand that, but like you said, it's two different Americas and they don't see the nuance. But somehow, some way, we can see the nuance.
Right.
We can sit here and say, this man should not have lost his life. He's entitled to say what he wants. He shouldn't have lost his life. But at the same time, we can say, I'm not necessarily mourning. I feel bad for his family and the way that happened. However, you're not understanding where we're coming from in our point of view. The whole debate, was he a racist? Was he not a racist? You're entitled to feel how you feel. But I want to know why. Also with that, why is it always when these individuals like a Charlie Kirk say something and we give an opinion on it is, y'all took it out of context. Whether he was talking specifically about Michelle Obama, Ketanji Brown Jackson, and there was one more. Who was the other person
Joy
he was talking
Reid?
about? Joy Reid. And you say they don't have the brain processing power. Whether you're talking about them individually or black women as a whole. And I've been trying to I want to find that whole, I seen the clip, but I want to see the whole interview. I wish I can find it if somebody can send it to me. So I can see and hear it for myself. But even just hearing that rhetoric, how can you say they don't have the brain processing power and they're taking a white person's job? If you're saying we're all equal and we all have the same opportunity, well, we know before the civil rights movement, it wasn't equal opportunity. They had to implement affirmative action to give the best and brightest from the black community an opportunity to compete. Why do you think that is so difficult for them to understand? Because if they never created affirmative action, we wouldn't have the opportunities to get into a Harvard and stuff. We have intelligent people too. That's giving them the opportunity that gave them, let's go past this before we get to DEI, because that's just another code word for the affirmative action of giving our people an opportunity. Why do you think it's hard for them to accept that? And I'm gonna break down an example of it in a second.
I think that they actually believe that black people are inferior. So they don't understand, again, this is the nuance piece. They actually don't understand, so similar to the whole comment about the black pilot piece. They don't truly believe that black people have to work harder in order to get into certain spots, which is why it's like, what are you talking about? Why would you even bring up a black, qualifications or whether or not a black pilot is qualified? In many cases,
they had to pass the same exams.
They had to not only pass the same exams though. Not only, that's one piece of it. They also had to function all along their journey through the system of racism. But again, the nuance of that, the experience of that, when you live and exist in a privileged position, there are things that you have blind spots to. Right. So you live in a world and you live in an experience where there are certain things you have not experienced it, and two, you're not open to it existing.
Right.
Period. And that's a part of what it is. They're not even open to it existing. No, it's a merit. The whole merit thing, like, it's not just merit with you. It is.
It's not merit.
It's because you got it because of somebody who, quote unquote, felt sorry or had to fill a quota. But It's not you. You couldn't have been qualified.
Right. To me, what's going on, if you look at the people that President Trump has put, on his, I guess I'll call it a board, the people he put in place, and you say merit, but a lot of those people aren't qualified for the positions he put them in.
That's a whole nother.
That just go back to the old saying of it ain't what you know, it's who you know.
Very much so.
That's what it go back to. And this is why I brought up the thing about T.I. and the family and the group economics, because it all ties in together of working together. Because at the end of the day, there are some people who, I would say, putting on a facade of liking everybody and wanting to work with everybody. Because if we all just work together and build community, because, you know, it's not segregation technically. We're not in segregation. We all have free reign to do what we want. And let's focus on working together to put our dollars together. Like I said, we got the illegal Dangotes, we got the Robert Smith, the T.I.s, the Magic Johnsons, the LeBrons, the Michael Jordans. Rest in peace to Kobe, because he was on the verge of doing some things. Nipsey Hussle was on the verge of doing some things for our people, and really exercising our $1.2 trillion spending power that we have, and really coming together so that we don't even have to deal with these things.
That's what it's about. You and I talked about that the last time. That's literally, we talked about, I think wrapped up the last one about that. Again, whether it's MAGA, the Jewish folks, whatever you want. A couple of days ago, I put something about Mackenzie Scott, you know, formerly Bezos, how amongst what everybody's doing, it doesn't matter, and the money that was donated, right? At the end of the day, that's one of the reasons why I think we're just very focused on, you know what, I'm not about to try to explain myself and explain my worth, my value to my community, my history, you know, what this country was built on. I'm not about to do no more explaining to you.
Right.
I'm going to focus on, I'm gonna find my group, right? I'm gonna find the people where we are like-minded, we understand how we have to come together, how we have to have cooperation, and we're just gonna build. Right. We're gonna put our heads down and we're gonna build. Because I'm tired of the, you know, now, and I'm tired of going back and forth in these rooms. Now, with that said, we need people, because if we're talking about movement, like we need people that are actually going to be able to have those discussions in the rooms. The Jasmine Crockett, like they're so important, right? Even certain allies, Gavin is on some other stuff right now, and I love it, and the majority of the country loves it.
He's emulating what Mr.
Same
Trump
thing.
does.
It's a mirror. Him and his shout out to, you know, Gavin's I believe it's a Latino woman, Gavin's social media manager or a social media person. Spot on. Just spot on. Just really chef's kiss as far as these posts, everything. But, you know, it's just gonna take people. One is meeting the energy where it is, because there is no high road, right? You got to meet the energy where it is, and it is there is no more explaining. You just have to go and do it, and you have to, again, get with like-minded people, and do what you got to do in terms of building, because you're going to get exhausted, pass away with all the explaining that you would have to do with some of these people.
With all that we just discussed, from the income to the real estate play that T.I. made to what we're talking about with the Charlie Kirk situation and us being able to grow and develop. When we talked about affirmative action, do you think that, because I've been seeing this on Instagram and I'm going to give my opinion on it, but do you think that the civil rights movement hurt us in a way of allowing for desegregation? What's your thoughts on that?
I understand how desegregation hurt. Like, I understand when people kind of make that talk.
Economics.
Yeah, I understand that, because stuff gets diluted. And then again, people find ways, in the same way that DEI is code for this and immigration is code for that, you know, is the same way that, you know, when people talk about redlining and white flight, like they just became, or we're gonna create private schools and charter schools, right? They're not in and of themselves inherently bad, but when certain communities and certain families are doing it and you're taking your money in certain places, then it begins to trickle down, and the outcome of that is lower quality education or lower quality health services. Like, people have figured out how to maneuver around, you know, and impact communities in negative ways. And so when I hear people talking about how much whether you want to call it suffered, or how, you know, desegregation didn't help, I understand, because it's like, it was up to us to continue to create our own systems and all of that stuff, then we would have approached it with a certain quality, you know, and level of intention that has gotten diluted because we were integrated in. So we were working within other people's systems, and then that didn't go well. So it was almost like, should have just stayed to ourselves.
Right. Do you think, with, like, we talk about the code words of DEI, do you think they low-key want to go back to that by putting a mask on it?
Go back to segregation?
Yeah. See, we legally cannot go back to that. Like, I don't think it's not going to be written in law. Right?
A lot of stuff they want to go back to.
Right. Now, let's think about that, though.
Yeah.
Let's just say that is the move they want to make. How can we capitalize on it? Based on what we know in the finance world and economics, if that is the move, how can the Black community capitalize on that?
What it has always been is two things. There's two major things that I think, I keep seeing, like, I follow Isaac Hayes III, and so whether it's that, or so media, Black people owning media. The top 10 wealthiest people in the country, in the world, in the country, I believe, they own 98% of.
Earn Your Leisure just put
exactly,
that out. Yeah.
Yes, exactly, right? Of what we see, what we hear.
Yep.
That's not by accident. And until people stop, so that's why, when people say, like with Don Lemon, for example, right? Or even Roland Martin, but I'll use Don Lemon because it's maybe more recent, how, Don Lemon's on one right now, right? It was, I got fired from CNN. Don Lemon be out, he's presenting news, right? He's doing journalism, he's doing it in the way that he wants to.
Right.
He owns his platform right now.
Yeah.
And we have to and arguably, it's better than, you know what I'm saying? Because he could be what he want to be, right? He could show up the way that he wants to show up. And he's doing really, really good journalism, right? And really, he's covering things and having conversations out in the streets, all of that stuff. But until people begin to, like, they get very serious, again, like Isaac Hayes was saying, like, in owning these platforms, that's one big thing. Like, that's one big thing that we would have to, that's a big move that would need to get made. The other big move that would need to get made outside of Black media or owning media or controlling aspects of media is just the economics of it all.
Right.
Is really understanding your power. Disney, Jimmy Kimmel.
Right.
Canceling your subscriptions. It's all about the money. You think they care? They don't care. They don't care about none of that. Oh, you actually cared about Jimmy Kimmel. They don't care about none of that. At the end of the day, they saw losses onto their bottom line. And until we understand the power of our collective dollar, we are doing exactly what they want us to do. We're still not falling in line, right? We need to be falling in line. We're falling out of line in the same way that they're still okay with, what's happening. You understand what I'm saying? Like they're still okay with it. And until we can get a grasp on media, controlling our media outlets, and a grasp on unifying and getting very one band, one sound-ish with our dollar, with the use of our dollar. So media, the dollar. I'll tell you the other thing is education.
Yep.
I know, especially with working with who I work with, clients-wise, you know how much I hear about people, these affluent people creating schools? Yeah. That is a big, big thing because we continue creating schools and essentially creating, right? Creating the curriculums, all of that stuff. Again, Jewish communities, they already have it. They have the schools. You think, especially, we have West LA and, you see them walking down the street, they in their garb, right? They're in their garb. You're like, you look a little interesting because you're in your garb. But at the end of the day, right? They control, they're being intentional about banking, they're being intentional about education, they're being intentional about food, they're being intentional about their segment of the city, right? But education is the other big thing. So I would say those three things.
Do you think Black people in 2025 are oppressed?
Are Black people oppressed? Well, yes, I believe we live in a system that still seeks to oppress.
No, I got you, but I want you to really think about what I'm saying before I give my statement. Okay. When I say oppressed, think about what you believe oppressed mean, not just like the system, but do you think we oppressed? Think about
This is a trick question.
I just want you to give me your answer, but think about when I say the word oppressed.
I think there's two things at play, and one that we really have to own up to. I think there's an accountability part to this side, right? Yes, I do believe, like I said, that we're in a system that continues to. That was built in a certain way for a certain reason, right? So that still exists. But I also think that there's a degree of, I don't know, self-oppression? Is a word, right?
There we go.
But is that we're seeing bars that don't exist. We're complaining about bars that don't exist. Or I know I saw an image, it was a quote unquote a caged bird. It was a bird and it was behind two bars, like it was behind jail. There was no other bars in the cage, just the two that it was in front of. And it's like, walk around, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I think in that respect that there's some definitely self-inflicted issues or, and oppression, if you will, that's going on.
Got it. So I'm glad you gave that answer because that's the same direction I was going in. We do know there's systems in place, whether it's the criminal justice system, even when it comes to athletics and getting ownership.
Yeah.
Because they have to vote you in.
Yeah.
Okay. Entertainment, like you said, the Netflixes and owning media. I personally don't think that we are oppressed, but there's some self-oppression going on because there's nobody that can sit in front of me and tell me not only is a white person smarter than me or better than me, but nobody in general. And I think we got to come to that understanding that as we fight the system, we got to understand what T.I. did, buying real estate, creating these multi-unit properties, creating schools. America can no longer stop us and push us out into certain areas because we have too many successful people. And that's the argument that, like, I'm not on the left or right, I'm in the center because I'm objective to both. But that's the argument that those who support Republicans or conservatives, whatever you want to name them, as they call the Democrats the left and all that, that's their argument of, well, nobody's oppressing you. You can walk out and do what you want. But we do know that there are systems in place. And I think we got to understand how to play the game with the system. Buck the system, fight against it, but at the same time, let's have some self-accountability and go out here and build something. Let's fix our algorithm with our family algorithm, our money algorithm, our social media algorithm. Like you said, you brought up Isaac Hayes and fan base. What if all of us just got off Facebook and TikTok and Instagram and went to fan base? Because we run culture, we run this world.
Pretty much.
But we gotta understand that.
Yeah.
So, even though I don't agree with a lot of what people with Trump and them say, because like I said, they will use this part as nobody's oppressing you, but it's been a lot of self-oppression over the years since the civil rights movement and integration to where we forgot that we really run this shit.
And let me also, because I want to actually move away from this. Not self-oppression. I was just using a different word because I think that
let's say lack of belief in ourselves as a whole versus saying oppression.
Lack of belief is part of it, but just like a self-inflicted, we got some self-inflicted damage that's going on right now, right? That's and we're seeing the outcomes of it. It's not solely the system. We exist within the system, so that all the isms, classism, racism, sexism, all that stuff is there. Misogyny, all of it is there. But yeah, I think for you it's just like taking ownership of you have things that you can control, and you're giving away your power. Stop doing that.
That part.
Like we got to stop doing that.
Stop giving away our power.
Yeah.
As we fight to get like certain laws passed and certain people that we want in office, I still want our people to understand that we can go get it done. We can get it done. And if we actually sit down, like I said, if every black family in the inner city would sit down for a month and say, this is what we're going to do to get together, then we don't need the National Guard and whatever else Trump sent into our cities to fix it. We can fix it. Just like the Black Panthers on it, we can self-police ourselves, for a better phrase I can use. We can fix this to it. We don't even got to worry about what they talking about. We don't got to worry about if you think I got the brain processing power. Because y'all need us.
Yeah.
We make everything cool. We make everything hot. Shein wouldn't be Shein without us. Okay?
Yes. No.
Instagram wouldn't be what it be without us.
Nothing.
If we would understand that and accept that, and then to the skin folk that ain't kin folk, you ain't even gotta worry about them either. But what we do need to do is get our people in those offices so that, like I said, they can fight on our behalf.
That's it right
while
there.
We're fixing our stuff. Like, we do need to promote education, like I said, for our children to say it's okay to be a politician, but don't forget where you came from. Don't allow yourself to be bought.
Yeah.
And to fight against those who might look like us but disagree with us, because we do know we got some self-work. But just because you want to talk about the degenerates in the black community, it's some degenerates in the white community too. And that's the part that they don't focus on. And
it's two things. One, I'm so glad that you brought up the elected, putting people in position. I think that there is definitely a move, because I can't remember where, I don't know if it's Detroit, but some Gen Zer, people are getting into these, adding their names into these different elected, these races, right? Governor, ballots. There's a young black man, I think it's in Georgia, it might be in Georgia, I can't remember, but it's a couple people that are, whether it's Senate positions, different other positions in Congress, governor positions. Obviously, there's he's not black, but Mamdani in Zoran in New York. There are also, I see a lot of a lot of younger people are like, all right, old guard, we got to get you out.
Right.
Even Democratic, get you out of there, because y'all actually are not helping, right? Because it's not even just, you know, now I see the George W. Bush, Baby Bush, Daddy Bush, Obama, Biden, right? Jimmy, when he was still alive, like even McCain. Like you could have, again, Democrats and Republicans. I think both of us are not either, but
I'm way independent now.
You see where it's almost nostalgic to see those types of videos and images, because it's like, when there was like decorum, right? And when people can like, just because, no, I don't believe in everything you say, but you know,
it was some sense of decorum.
Exactly, we can find a middle ground to be able to function and not, you know, totally come after each other or not think of the other person as the enemy. Like, I would love to be able to go back to.
Imagine if,
to times.
When you talk about decorum, they got mad at Obama for wearing a tan suit.
Yeah.
But yet, Mr. Trump can act like he got Twitter beef like he in high school. Those are the things that I feel like when we talk about systematic racism comes into play. Like, if we were to conduct ourselves like that, we'll be everything in the book. But how do y'all get to conduct yourselves like that? That's the part where I feel like we get people in office to fight for us, but as a community, don't even pay attention to that. Exactly. Let's go do what we got to do. Because
you got to understand, because it's about putting people in position, right? Elected officials, even judges, right? On different levels, school board, all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, to your point, it's also understanding that they still are functioning within a system.
Exactly.
A system that's still got
That's the part they're trying to say. It's not a system. You know, the courts is not a system. People in place. That is a system. Yeah. That is a system. And you still have to have your group that's going to function independently of that. So it's just putting players in. But again, people have to be on the same page. And even if it's not your kinfolk, as in like your relatives, like you got to find people who have the same mindset as you and begin to build, because there's power in that. And if we can really hone in on the power of that, then, you know, moves can really get made. Well, you're right about that. I think we had a great discussion today. Mm-hmm. You know, we're going to rally up, come back soon for the people. So anything you want to end with?
So, nope, I'm good. I think we had a great discussion. So, you know, you guys definitely tune in. If you guys have any feedback or you guys have your own commentary, you can comment below in the caption. We'll definitely, you know, hopefully it won't take as long to come back with another episode. But we want to definitely thank you for watching, and we'll see y'all next time.
See ya. Y'all can follow me at Mr. Wells89 on Instagram. And like Njideka said, we'll be back soon.